So after today's vote and trouble, what happens now to the student movement? Matt Prodger is with some protesters at the London School of Economics. Matt.
Yes, Kirsty, the LSE is, of course, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, a cradle of learning for generations of leaders. And as you can see from the poster there, under occupation at the moment. Now, all evening, people have been coming back from the protest, the students filing through here, through the entrance of the university. And up here on the right is where they have been occupying for the past week. One of the rooms here. It hasn't disrupted studies here because a large proportion of the students here are foreign students who are largely unaffected by this whole debate. But the British students have occupied this room here. As you can see here, just here in this ante-room is where they've been preparing their signs, their placards. And in here now, they've been glued to the TV coverage tonight, seeing how it's gone down, and we've gathered a group of them here to see how they feel about how the protest has gone. Now I'm going to speak first of all to Sasha Salmon here, one of the organisers. Sasha, let me ask you first of all, how do you feel about a protest that began as a peaceful protest against tuition fees, ending up in the news headlines that you're watching tonight with attacks on shops in Oxford Street, an attack on Charles and Camilla in their car, police being injured? How do you feel about it?
Well, we all went there peacefully, but I think it's been completely underreported how violent the police were. We were kettled. I didn't go for a wee. I didn't have a glass of water. I didn't eat anything from 12 o'clock till 6 o'clock. And the only reason I got out at 6 o'clock is I faked a panic attack. So realistically, it's not student violence. It's a reaction to the fact that we were stuck. I don't know how that's lawful that we were stuck there for so long. There was kids there, there were parents there, there were tourists who accidentally were injured.
Did you see people attacking the police at all?
I mean, these missiles we hear about, I saw an egg, I saw a stick, I saw people not moving when they were being pushed. Yeah, I mean, of course, people retaliated. They're angry. This is our futures. My brothers aren't going to be able to go to university, and that's a tragedy. So I'm out there protesting for them. It's a passionate issue. So people are passionate, and people might have been a bit rough, but it's nothing like we're not terrorists. We're not, I don't know. Okay.
I mean, the police, of course, can contest that account. Mm-hmm. Sherelle, do you feel the protest today was a success? I mean, the vote went through regardless.
I think it was a success in the fact that we kept the visual opposition up and we showed them, even after the vote went through, we're still going to be there, we're still going to protest, we're still going to show that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that these cuts are opposed as much as possible. And I think...
So what now? I mean, is this occupation of this part of the university, is this over now?
No. No way.
No. So what do you do? What do you do now?
We keep on. Where our demands are aimed at our Vice Chancellor to write a joint statement with us and Student Union and the UCU. So until he does that, we won't be moving anywhere.
So you're not moving anywhere?
Nope.
Okay, that's it here from the LSE. These students are going to be bedding down here tonight. There's a group here from Sheffield as well, and as they say, they're going nowhere. Back to you, Kirsty.
Thank you, Matt. Well, with the University's Minister now, David Willetts, we're joined by Mo Saqib from the University of Manchester, Rahul Mansanini from Cambridge, and Hero Austin, also from London School of Economics. Before I come to you, just picking up on what both Sasha and Zarela said there. First of all, she knows her brothers won't go to university, and Sharella is saying, and we're going to carry on.
Well, I was shocked when she said that she knew her brothers wouldn't go to university, because there's been several references during the programme to paying the fees. Of course, they're not going to pay the fees. The taxpayer is going to provide the money for students, of course, then to pass the funds on to the university. No family's going to have to reach into their back pocket to pay for their child to go to university. When and if they graduate and in well-paid jobs, at that point they start making a contribution if they're earning more than £21,000 a year. And I don't think that should deter, and I very much hope it doesn't deter her brother from going to university.
Well, Rahul, what is your point for the University's Minister?
I think that's exactly the point. People will be deterred from going to university because of the perception, because of the problem of a £9,000 a year headline fee. One of your own MPs, Dr. Lewis, today was saying that the question is about whether people perceive it as fair. and it is quite clear from the protests, from the petitions, that they don't.
But the 9,000 is for tuition, but you've also got to find your living. And so
absolutely, so you'll end up with debts of 50,000 by the time you leave university, possibly.
And how do you feel about debt?
I have a problem with it. It makes me feel like I don't have the freedom to go on and do what I want to do. And it remains true that those from the poorest backgrounds tend to be the most debt averse.
Mo, put your question directly to the Minister, please.
Well, I guess what I want to say to David is, if you look at a 3-year course at a Russell Group University, a student on that course can now expect to graduate with up to £40,000 worth of debt. I don't call that progressive. Now, you might argue that after 30 years you'll wipe off that debt. Being in debt for 30 years is not progressive. But I guess what I want to know from you, David, is you said yourself a short while ago, a few months ago, that universities had not made the case for being able to charge higher fees. Now, the fact is, as fees have gone up over the last decade, the quality of our education has not gone up. We are now seeing a bonfire of humanities subjects, contact hours being cut. So are you telling me that with the troubling of fees, the quality of our education will also trouble?
Well, I think you've actually put your finger on one of the key challenges and part of the thinking behind our proposals. I do think there is an issue about universities providing a high-quality teaching experience. I don't think they always do at the moment. In fact, I think what we've got at the moment is very strong incentives to focus on research, but there's large numbers of students who don't think that they get enough contact time with academics, who think the seminars are too crowded, who do think that, that the big-name professor that's advertised on the prospectus doesn't seem to be around to teach them very much, and we do want to see that change. And I think these proposals, with the universities having to look to the students to bring the funds in, not the students' own money, looking to the students to bring their own funds in, will address precisely that thing, because I think you're putting your finger on what many people are very frustrated with at the moment.
You're not increasing funding, you're merely replacing state funding by pushing the cost onto the student. Funding is not being increased.
Well, it's not on the student. It is, I accept, a contribution from the graduate. It's not on the student. And you're right, our philosophy is that the money should come through the choices of the student. And I think what this is going to do, and you can hold me to account for this, what I want to see is universities looking out and thinking, what exactly is the teaching experience we offer prospective students, and how can we make sure that that is world-class so that students want to come to this university? That is the challenge for them after these reforms. They won't be able to get money from Krangos anymore. They'll only get it through the choices of students.
Okay, I'd just like to pick up on that point quickly, because I think it's kind of false. Like, universities like the LSE have relatively low standards of teaching compared to their comparative equals in the university sector, yet they have a ridiculous amount of applicants per place, and that's not going to change. So LSE knows that it doesn't really have to do that much about its teaching grant. It can rely on always having loads of students applying and keep its fees at no ground. So I think that's untrue. But I think one of my main questions is that students at LSE are angry that our teaching grant for social sciences looks to be cut by almost about 100%, with the cost being entirely transferred to the individual, and we're angry about that. And when we went out today and protested peacefully, I ended up being crushed under police barriers by police, and my friend who was completely peaceful is now in hospital with her collarbone broken. And I'd like to say we're angry about the social sciences being cut, and by exercising our democratic right to peaceful protest, is it acceptable that we're being treated in this way?
And just before we go on to it, we must also point out that a number of officers were injured, and some seriously as well, Minister.
I mean, I do accept that sadly innocent people who wish to protest democratically have been caught up in violent protests, which I'm sure were a small proportion of the people overall demonstrating. First of all, on the teaching, and coming back to the teaching, I think actually you're a bit harsh on the LSE, and I think the director of the LSE himself would say that one of the things that he wants to do is focus more on the teaching experience. And also, and this is crucial, we are not against social sciences. These are changes that operate fairly across all disciplines. I'm not sitting in a government department, and nor is Vince Cable, trying to pick the subjects that students should do or trying to tilt the playing field against one discipline or in favour of another. What we believe in is well-informed choices by students.
Thank you all very much indeed, and we'll be coming to you in a minute, Minister.